Is anyone pressing today? Is there one pushing through toward the mark of the high calling? I invite you to stand, those who can and will, for the reading of the Word of God, which comes to us today from the Sacred Library, a particular book in the Pauline Corpus, the first letter to the church at Corinth, chapter 2, verses 6 through 13. That's 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verses 6 through 13. Hear now the lesson. Yet among the mature we do speak wisdom, though it is not a wisdom of this age or of the rulers of this age who are doomed to perish. But we speak God's wisdom, secret and hidden, which God decreed before the ages for our glory. None of the rulers of this age understood this, for if they had, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. But as it is written, what no eye has seen, nor ear heard, nor the human heart conceived, what God has prepared for those who love him. These things God has revealed to us through the Spirit, for the Spirit searches everything, even the depths of God. For what human being knows what is truly human except the human spirit that is within? So also no one comprehends what is truly God's except the Spirit of God. Now we have received not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit that is from God, so that we may understand the gifts bestowed on us by God. And we speak of things in words not taught by human wisdom, but taught by the Spirit, interpreting spiritual things to those who are spiritual. Thus ends the reading of the word. Amen. I want to talk about better days are coming. Better days are coming. If ever there was a church that was in turmoil, it was the church at Corinth. It was a church that was marred by controversy, marked by contentiousness, and measured by confusion. And as a result of the tensive nature in the congregation, the Apostle Paul, as he writes to them, begins to analyze the health of the congregation. He quickly deduces that there is a two-ness at work in the church. And any of us who have ever tried to live a Christian life in a complex world understands this two-ness. For all of us have had moments in which there are bittersweet times. We all have had mixed emotions. We've all known the poverty of this world mitigated by the richness of our life in Christ. Because there have been times when we had no money in our bank accounts and nothing but lint in our pockets. But yet we felt wealthy because of our relationship with Jesus Christ. We have dined all from the troughs of sorrow, and yet we have eaten from the finely attired and arrayed tablecloths of joy. Do I have a witness that can understand the two-ness? You've been full of sorrow, but you can still, in the midst of it all, say, I still have joy. That is the two-ness that is at work in the Christian faith. And for Paul, in his analysis, he deduces and reduces this two-ness to a simple construct. It is in the church then and now, those that are spiritual and those that are not spiritual. To use the language of our spiritual forebearers, our spiritual foremothers and forefathers, it is the difference between the spiritual and the carnal. And carnality for some is simply to be ruled merely by the desires of the flesh. while carnality and being unspiritual entails that, it's much, much more. For the apostle then and now, the congregation's health, the Christian's health, should be defined by maturity. And when we find ourselves immature with regards to spiritual matters, then we are really carnal. We're unspiritual because we can no longer discern the things of God. But what Paul says in contrast to immaturity and carnality is a spiritual maturity in which you know God and God knows you. It is to be possessed of the Spirit. And it is to possess the Spirit. And every child of God has at his or her disposal the Spirit of the living God. There's something unique about you. There's something different about you. There's something peculiar about you because you possess the Spirit of the living God. No wonder the songwriter said there's something on the inside that's working on the outside. Oh, what a change in my life. There's something on the inside of all of us that gives us strength when we're struggling, that gives us joy when we're sorrowful, that gives us mercy when we're hard of heart. For there's something on the inside of each and every child of the living God. But to be spiritual is not only to possess the Spirit, but it is to be possessed by the Spirit. In other words, the Spirit has its way in our lives. The Spirit controls, the Spirit animates, the Spirit moves and grooves and gives us life where there is death. Yes, beloved, to be spiritually mature is to not only have the Spirit, but to allow the Spirit to control your life. That's what's taking place here in the church and in the analysis of the Apostle Paul. And oh, how we would do so much better in this Christian walk if we could just tell the Lord, have your way in my life. Do whatever you want to do in my life. If you want to use me, then use me up. If you want to bruise me, then bruise me to get more out of me. If you want to stir up my gifts, then God create the discomfiture so that I can live a fuller life for you. Is there anybody here that's willing to just simply say, have your way? Oh, come on now, because you do know that obedience is better than sacrifice. That when you can tell the Lord, have your way, you really set yourself up to be blessed. Have your way in my life. Have your way on my job. Have your way in my home. Have your way in my relationships. Have your way, dear God, and I know that I'll honor you and be blessed in the process. Here, this two-ness, if you will, creates a unique perspective for the spiritual. Here, the writer, Paul, alludes to it as he quotes from another authoritative text. He says, to use the old King James language, eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, nor has it entered into the hearts of people the good things that the Lord has prepared for those that love him. Eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, nor has it entered into the hearts of people the good things that the Lord has in store for his people. Yes, beloved, to live in this two-ness is to live responsibly in the present, but it is to anticipate great things in your future. I ought to have somebody here that may be struggling with minuses, but great things are on the horizon. I may have somebody here that's wishing for a brighter day. I want you to know that better days are indeed coming. There's something, because eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, nor has it entered into the hearts of people the good things prepared by God's own self for those that love him. Better days, I tell you, are coming. No matter how bad it seems in life right now, if you operate from this spiritual perspective, then there's always an anticipatory moment in which you expect God to intervene in your circumstance, your situation, and bring from above the verities, the values, and the victory of the kingdom despite what looks like imminent defeat. Somebody here ought to help me, because when it looks like I'm losing, that's when I'm about to win. When it looks like I'm set back, that's when God is really setting me up. When it looks like I'm faltering and failing, that's when God picks me up, and I can't fall but so far. Because of the spiritual perspective, there's always a moment of anticipation and expectation for the future. Better days are indeed coming. But many of us today, because of our spiritual immaturity, panic over the future. We hear so much devastating news and so many unsettling prognostications and predictions that we often are baffled and troubled by the future. The climatologists tell us that we're near a tipping point where the earth is going to only warm and warm, and we'll never be able to go back. Oceans will rise and coastal areas will flood. Weather patterns will worsen. That's an unfavorable prediction of the future. The economists are saying that we're shrinking rather than growing. That's an unfavorable forecast for the future. We see our children without spiritual groundings and moorings, unable to tackle the challenges of previous generations. It seems as if the future is not bright, but blighted. We panic over the future, because the future by its very nature is precarious and uncertainty. That is the hallmark of the future in every and any generation. That's why the old songwriter said, I don't know about tomorrow. I don't know. In fact, I really don't know what's going to happen for the rest of the day. Let alone tomorrow. I don't know about tomorrow, but I live by day to day. The future is uncertain. But the spiritual perspective says, my future is written. And I've got something that has been guaranteed by God. And I dare say that many of us panic over the future because we find security in impermanent phenomenon. We are angered when our portfolios don't grow and frustrated when they decrease. That is because we put too much value on the things of now that are decaying rather than building our hopes on things that are eternal. Beloved, sometimes you just got to cut some things loose and build your hopes on things eternal and hold to God's unchanging hand. Yes, we are too tied to material things, too infatuated with the stuff of this world that we forget to latch on to that which lasts forever. That is what Paul addresses here in the church, and he calls that the spiritual perspective. It is a wisdom that emanates from the divine heart and self, so that, beloved, we can then just go with the flow. Though the flow may be turbulent, we can still go with the flow, because our future in God is always certain. You don't have to take out your frustrations on people when things don't look favorable in the future. Just hold on to God. You don't need to cuss anybody out. Just hold on to God. There's no need for road rage because you can't get to where you need to on time. Just hold on to God's unchanging hand because the future is always favorable with God. So what makes this unique Christian spiritual perspective so unique? Well, the first thing that I see here is that this spiritual posture is over and above the powers of perception. Here the writer says, eyes have not seen and ears have not heard, though hearing and seeing are ways of appropriating reality. They are a means by which we can say this is this and that is that. But the text says that we have something that is beyond the powers of our perception, that the eye has yet to fully perceive, nor has the ear fully heard the good things that God already has in store for his people. See, beloved, the powers of perception have both burden and blessing, because I can see some good things in the world, but I can also see bad things in the world. I can see the splendor of a sunrise, but I can see those who are homeless and the sun rises upon them. I can see children playing, but I can also see children who go parentless. You see, I can see some good things, but I can also see some bad things. I can hear good news, but I can also hear gossip. I can hear you say the euphonic things of the gospel, but I can also hear people tear one another down. Hearing and the power of perception comes with good and bad. But the text tells us, eyes have not seen, ears have not heard of the grandeur of the future that God has for you. What I'm going into, baby, is beyond what I can see, and it's beyond what I can hear. What God has coming down the pike ain't nobody thought about just yet. Ain't nobody seen it just yet. Ain't nobody heard of it just yet. I've got a friend of mine that always, when he asks how you doing, he always says it's good. And the spiritual perspective that operates out of the above and beyondness of the eyes and the ear says that everything is good. It's good when it's bad, and it's good when it's good. It's good when I'm fired. It's good when I'm employed. It's good when I'm hungry. It's good when my belly's full. It's good when I'm healthy. It's good when I'm sick. It's good when I'm up, and it's good when I'm down. It's good when I'm lonely. It's good when I got friends around. It's good when you shout. It's even good when you can't put your hands together, because what's coming down the road is better and bigger than what your eye can see and your ear has heard. The second thing that makes this spiritual perspective what it is that it exceeds the imagination. It's over and above our powers of perception, but it also exceeds the imagination. Eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, but nor has it entered into the hearts. Y'all ain't feeling me. Maybe you think here that the heart is just an organ that pumps blood from the center to the exteriors and extremities of life. But in the Hebraic concept, the heart is the seat of imagination. It's the place where it's God's playground for us to imagine something bigger and better than our present. Imagination, by its very nature, is to take account of reality and then see something else. It's imagination that caused the Wright brothers to say that we can fly. It's imagination that caused Charles Drew to say blood can be transfused. It's imagination that takes into account reality, but then envision an even greater reality. But what Paul reminds the church here of, beloved, is that even though we can do that, what's coming in God's future is greater than what you can imagine. In other words, you can't even conceive of the blessing that God has in store for you. You can't even imagine it. You can't even handle it. You can't even appropriate it. You can't even get your arms around it because it's bigger and more grandeur than anything that you can imagine. Eyes have not seen, ear has not heard, nor has it entered into the hearts of humankind the good things. And what God has in store for his people in the future is all good. Can you imagine a time, a period where there is no bad, where there is no evil, where there are no missteps and misdeeds, where there is no humanity sin against humanity? It's all good. And you can't even imagine or fathom what God has in store for his people. Then finally, beloved, what makes this spiritual perspective unique is that it does not come or emanate from human consciousness or machinations, but it's prepared by God. Y'all ain't feeling me here. What no eye has seen, nor ear heard, nor human heart conceive, what God has prepared for those who love him. Y'all missed it. It's already ready for you. Y'all still ain't feeling me. This ain't nothing that's got to get ready. It's already been made ready by the cross of Jesus Christ. When he died, my inheritance was made ready. When he died, my blessing was already on its way. When he died, my joy was already fulfilled. When he died, my security was already secure. It's already been prepared. All I've got to do is wait. Y'all ain't feeling me. All I got to do is wait on the Lord, and it's all mine. Because, beloved, you see, to live with anticipation and expectation, to be possessed by the Spirit of God, is to live with big responsibilities. It's a big responsibility to love your neighbor as yourself. It's a big responsibility to clothe those that are naked and to visit those that are in prison and to feed those that are hungry. It's a big responsibility to love mercy and do justice and walk humbly with God. It's a big responsibility, but a big God that requires big responsibility is a big God that gives big reward. I wish I had somebody to help me today, because what we are dealing with is no small inheritance. We're expecting great things. When you get up in the morning, you ought to expect some great things. When you rise and when you fall asleep at night, you ought to expect great things, not because of who you are, but because whose you are. And I don't serve a mediocre miniature God. I serve a God who every morning causes the sun to rise in the east and set in the west. I serve a big God who regulates even the storms. I serve a big God who has already prepared an inheritance for his people. So all you got to do is wait till you get your inheritance. And I would submit that this is a peculiar kind of inheritance. we all understand what an inheritance is. It is that which has been promised at the death and demise of those who have all of the property. My daughter the other day said, "Daddy, does that mean I'm going to be an heiress?" I said, "Not quite, baby, not quite. But we are expecting great things." You see, this, I would submit to you, is a trust fund. And a trust fund is a peculiar kind of inheritance. And every trust fund has three components. There is the grantor who has the stuff that is to be passed on to successive generations. Then there is one who serves as the trustee, who manages the stuff for the benefit of the beneficiary. And the third component is there's somebody with their hands out waiting to receive. But here's the tricky thing about most trust funds. They're set up to bless the beneficiary throughout the whole course of his or her life. See, in some inheritances, you get it right now in one lump sum. But a trust is an inheritance over time. And the only way you can tap into the trust is you've got to come to an age of maturity. In other words, baby, when I'm mature in Christ, I'm waiting on something that I can't handle right now. I'm waiting on God, and it's already mine. But I got to get to the point of maturity where God can put it in my hands and trust me with it and know that I'll do right with it and do right by him. Every child of God has a trust fund, and all you got to do is just wait on the Lord and grow in your faith, because there's something that's coming down the line and it's already yours. It's waiting on you. It's been decreed. It's been promised. And when you get to the point of maturity, then the trustee will say, "Here you go. You can handle it now. You're ready for the responsibility as well as the reward." Well, I want you to know this morning that every child of God has a trust fund that is God, that has God as its guarantor. For the Lord Almighty says, "These are my children, and these are the ones that I want to take care of, not just this day, but every day is a day of thanksgiving. For every day I got new mercies that come my way. Every day he blesses me with a new rising, with new life, with new activity of my limbs every day." But then there is the trustee. Jesus says, "I'm going to ensure that they get it when they're ready. I'm holding it in the palm of my hand. And when you say, Daddy, go get my people, I'll unleash their trust fund." But everybody that's been born of the Spirit is the beneficiary. Do I have a witness here? You got some things that have come your way that you didn't really deserve. You've been blessed and highly favored, and you know you didn't deserve it. You got some joy when you know you're full of sorrow. Every child of God is a beneficiary. So the best thing you can do is say, "Fill my cup, Lord. I lift it up, Lord. Fill it to overflowing." I don't know about you, but I'm glad that he'll fill my cup to overflowing. I heard David say that he'll set a table before you in the presence of your enemy. and my cup. Some of y'all ain't ever read the 23rd Psalm. My cup overflows. Anybody here with an overflowing cup? I got more shoes than I got feet. I got more car than I got seats. I got more house than I really need. I got more money than I know what to do with. I got more friends than I can contact at any one time. My life is filled with joy, with abundance, with fullness. And here's the good thing. I don't have a dime, but I still got everything I need. I may not have zeros in my bank account, but I'm still overflowing with the goodness of God. So, beloved, don't be frightened by the future, because better days are coming. Eyes have not seen, ears have yet to hear, nor has it entered into the hearts of people the good things that God has prepared for his people. You are a people of more and abundance. Even though you may not have the things of this world, you got more joy, more peace, more sense of purpose, because you are spiritually mature in God. You possess the Spirit, but the Spirit possesses you. And when you do that, you can always say better days are on their way. No matter how bad it gets, no matter how turbulent the seas and the winds may be, better days are always coming. So what you do when the storms come, just put on your seatbelt and ride out every storm, because better days are sure to come. There may be someone here today, either on our mobile Mount Olive family or either in the household of faith gathered in this moment, who has been plagued with a panic about tomorrow. Or maybe the converse is true. You've become so obsessed with the present that you have not thought about tomorrow. Jesus taught in a parable once, what does it profit a man or a woman to gain the whole world and to lose their soul? One should contemplate the future, should ponder the present, but also embrace the gift that is to come, that has been prepared by God. If there's one today that finds himself or herself, either online or in person, caught in that tensive two-ness that plagues the people of God, a tension, a dialectic between spiritual maturity and immaturity, an obsession with the present or a preoccupation with the future. If you find yourself in that ambiguous place, then there is one who guarantees that tomorrow is going to be better than today. His name is Jesus. And I admonish you to connect with him in this moment as we extend the invitation to Christian discipleship. If there is one, won't you come? As you make up your mind, as you make this decision that has eternal consequences, what of the polarities of life will you choose? Maturity or immaturity? The things of the present which are fleeting and dying, or the things of the future, which are permanent and eternal. The beautiful thing, beloved, is we get to choose. It's not superimposed upon us by God. It's not forced or impressed upon us. But we get to choose. I admonish you today, choose wisely. Build your hopes, your dreams, your future on things eternal, and hold to God's unchanging hand. If there's one today that needs to have their life to experience the rebirth, we invite you to come. There's a number at the bottom of the screen. Someone is waiting to hear your call. If there's one that needs to reconnect with the church, this is your moment as well. And if there are those that just need a community to be a part of, to love on them and to share their journey with them, we invite you to come. Doesn't matter how you come. What is most important is that you come not to the church, but come to Jesus. And then through the church, you can grow into spiritual maturity. We extend now the invitation. Whomsoever will, let him or her come.
Sometimes it feels cold and you feel all alone. Hold on, better days are coming. It can be rough in this world. I know it ain't easy, but hang on in there. I know better days are coming. You seem good and you seem bad. You've been hurt beyond sin, but you can remember better days.